Well, welcome everybody to our November Austin Tug. My name is Chris Monahan. I'll be your MC today. We've got a great event for you. We've got a lot of great topics. Today, what we're going to do as far as our agenda, we have our meeting and announcements, going to go over the meeting format, talk about some upcoming events. We're also going to do our community spotlight, which we do every month on one of our members in our community. And then we have our featured speaker, Will Sutton. He's a friend of the show, we call it, Tableau Visionary. He's our 2022 Iron Biz champion, and he will be doing a topic about bringing your LLMs to Tableau. It's around Tableau MCP. It's a very cool presentation, so you definitely don't want to miss that. And for those of you that can hang out a little bit afterwards, we do an event called Networking, Ask Anyone Anything Tableau, and it's a little bit of a network event. So please go ahead and stay and hang out after the presentation and join us for that. So the meeting format, just so everybody knows, this is a Zoom call, so please observe customary Zoom etiquette. Go on mute if you can. If you have any questions, please come off mute, ask questions, or simply put them in the chat. Typically, we save our questions at the end, but Will has requested this be a little bit more interactive. So as he's given his presentations, just put them in the chat, and he'll go ahead and field those questions as we go, because it's a very fluid conversation during the demo. And if you have any questions that are more in general, please DM Homer or myself, and we'll get those answered. And as a reminder, all these are hosted on our YouTube channel that you can check out there in the URL. I always like to thank everyone that helps put these events together every month. This is our advisory council. These are all the members that help with lining up our speakers, hosting the events, putting the meeting agendas together. We meet twice a month. It's a great time to really just come together as a community and help put these events on. Today, especially, want to highlight one of our community members and somebody that I've known for many years. He helped sort of during COVID keep this tug event going, and it's Homer Hegedus. Homer is a technical project management. He's done some AI and data management, and now doing some venture partner stuff. So got an interesting career in here. So, Homer, I'd like to turn it over to you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your sort of your data journey.
All right, thanks, Chris, for the introduction. Appreciate it. So I'm Homer Hegedus, and I moved here a long time ago, right after college. Without giving away the date, I'll just tell you that Mopac wasn't finished, and other than grocery and drug stores, all other stores were closed on Sundays. So I don't know if you were around when that was the law. And the reason I moved to Austin is to take a position with Motorola Semiconductor, where I spent about half my career there in technical work as a product engineer and liaison between the product group and the fab. And then I kind of pivoted more into a leadership role of project and program management. Altogether, I spent about 30 years in the semiconductor industry, focused primarily on product development. After that, I started contracting independently as a program manager and product management, and then I'll jump to the beginning of my career and how I really got to be a data nerd. And the story is that as a product engineer, one of the things you had to do is called characterization, which is where you measure every important parameter on a semiconductor chip over a wide variety of operating conditions, so like voltage and temperature. And also we had artificial skews and process parameters. And what this did is it generated a ton of data. We were looking for the point of failure, in other words, the capability of the product, and then we would compare that to the published spec, make sure that we had enough margin to make the manufacturing yields high, because in semiconductors, you don't start making money until the yields are like around 80-85%. So high yields are really important. And chips are very, very expensive to make. They're also very, very complex. Today, there are so many process steps, it can take up to 2 months to make a chip. So it's one of the most complex manufacturing processes out there. And so the data that was generated was originally just printed out in a tabular format with Excel. And we had to scan through these tables and try to figure out, what are the the variances and what are the correlations between different parameters under different operating conditions. This was extremely difficult to do in a tabular form. So I was fortunate to be able to spend some time in a consortium called Semitech. And when I was there, I got to get to know some really outstanding statisticians. And this was like a cooperative of different semiconductor companies. So there were several statisticians there I was able to consult with. And I got very interested in statistical process control and applied statistical methods in general. And then also I got introduced to SAS, which I'm sure some of you have used, and pretty much everyone has heard of it. And SAS has the capability of displaying data, graphically. And so I started doing that on this characterization data. And I was able to display up to 5 parameters on a flat sheet of paper, using symbols, using colors, drawing families of curves and showing how they vary. And so this was actually a turning point in my career, because when I rejoined Motorola, I kind of became the subject matter expert in that field. So when I pivoted to program management, I wasn't doing as much as that kind of work, but it was always something I was very interested in. And I decided in 2017 I really wanted to upskill in data science because it advanced so much. So I did a boot camp at General Assembly, a 13-week live instruction, full-time, with homework and labs and everything. And I learned how to use, all the libraries and all the functions in scikit-learn. Learned how to do deep learning with TensorFlow and Keras. Really, really interesting. And the story about Tableau is like this. Our main instructor was extremely good at Python coding, and he would code on the fly, and just lecture by coding right in front of us. And I thought, well, this must be the only thing he does. And then we had a unit that was on Tableau. And he admitted that when he first was asked to teach this, he kind of, turned his nose up and had said, well, this is not real science here. But then he changed his tune. He said, this is my favorite unit of all because Tableau was so cool. And when he said that, I really started paying attention. And very, very quickly, I had to agree with him. And that's how I became a huge fan of Tableau. So fast forward to 2020, just before COVID, we only had in-person meetings at the Tableau office. And we all of a sudden were looking at a shutdown. And this is how we got into doing the virtual meetings for the first time. But we also said, prior to this, it was one person who was doing all the organization, and it was too much. So she quit. And we said, well, what are we going to do now? Who wants to take over? Nobody raised their hand. And we agreed that we need to spread the load. And that's how the advisory council was formed. I joined right away. Chris joined right away. Several other members have been there for a long time, Amy and John. But the reason I'm still doing it today, even though I have now pivoted into a completely different kind of career in venture capital, is because I love working with these people. They were really dedicated, and everybody contributes something unique. And I just feel like these are people I want to hang with. So that's kind of the quick summary of how I became a Tableau user.
All right. Well, thanks, Homer. Yeah, no, that is we enjoy working with you as well. I just had to add that too. So you've been instrumental in keeping the tug alive during those tough days during the pandemic, and instrumental in also seeing it grow. So thank you very much. I guess, as far as data visualization, you had a very interesting career. I guess, where do you sort of see things going now? Just briefly, just where, there's a lot of new things coming out, you know, agentic analytics, things like that. What's your thoughts?
You know, one of the really powerful uses of data visualization is exploratory data analysis. And I was using another SaaS tool called JMP for that purpose. But I'm one of these old school people who thinks like the best chart is a scatter plot, because you can just look at the data and infer relationships between variables. And maybe it's not the best thing for a presentation, but for exploratory data analysis, it's one of the very best. I see basically the trend of AI doing more and more of the data wrangling, more of the exploratory data analysis, the feature engineering. And it's going to be driving, the kind of work that we're doing every day, the dashboards and such. So it still needs to be driven by people, and I believe that will stay for a while. People still need to be able to draw conclusions from the draw conclusions from the graphs. But what I have found is that it's a very powerful way to make your case. Data that's displayed visually is almost always easier to digest, easier to understand. And you as the presenter have the power to shape the visualization, to deliver the message that you want it to. And some people would say, well, that can be done for nefarious purposes, and that's true. The saying is, you torture the data long enough and it'll tell you whatever you want it to. But still, I like what Deming said, is that in God we trust, all others must show their data. And there's a lot of truth to that, because when you have the data, it gives you more credibility. And I'll just tell you only one really practical use of Tableau that I leveraged is to build charts that I took to a property appraisal protest hearing. I'm
That's
not
important.
kidding. And I was able to, again, do exploratory data analysis and pick the chart that was best supporting my case that the property was overvalued. And I was able to reduce it by multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it's
Very valuable chart. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, an amazing amount of taxes.
Okay. Awesome.
So that was a great use of Tableau, and I'm proud of that.
Cool. Well, final question here. What's next for you? I see you're doing venture capital now.
Yeah, I'm doing venture capital with how did that happen? I met a guy at a networking event and I got to know him, and he was in a fund and started, basically tutoring me. And we talk on Zoom once a week for an hour. And I was then invited to join and buy into the fund, and then become what they call a venture partner, which is somewhere between a limited partner and a managing partner. And I won't go into details of that, but I'll just say that's a place I really like. I'm happy here because I have a lot of visibility, but not too much responsibility. But I'm learning so much, and it keeps me networking with people and always being exposed to new technology because we're constantly interviewing startups that are candidates for the portfolio. The fund is very narrow. It's focused just on med tech, but we're also looking for like med tech with AI enablement.
Good. Yeah, that's what we like to hear. Keep it related to med tech, AI, and analytics. Let's maybe double down on that. So that's
Yep,
awesome. Well, thank you, Homer. Thanks for sharing your story.
you bet.
And just all your experience and everything you do for the Tug community. So, all right. Well, if you do want to join our advisory council, as Homer mentioned, we get together every other week on Zoom for 30 minutes, talk about the upcoming events, do a little socializing once a quarter at a advisory council dinner. But if you like marketing, event planning, or just want to help in general, please reach out to myself, Homer, or anybody else on the advisory council, and we'll get you introduced. And if you just want to participate more in our community, we have a Slack channel. We'll go ahead and put that link here in the chat so you can join too. All right, so upcoming events. We have a holiday party coming up in person. We do these live and in person. So, John, you want to talk a little bit about this?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Yeah, we really want everybody to come out for a great evening. We'll be at Austin Beer Works on Thursday, December 4th from 5 o'clock CST onwards. Really encourage everybody to come out for grab a drink, wear your ugliest sweater, right, and see if you can go home with a little prize. And then chat with everybody, right, in the data fan community. If you're virtual, no problem. Still encourage you to join. We'll also have prizes for anybody that's joining virtually. But really, it's just a fun evening of connecting with others and talking about all things data.
All right.
RSVP via the QR code, and we can't wait to see you.
All right. Thanks, John. Yeah. So as John mentioned, this is a great event. We did at Austin Beer Works a couple months ago as well. So if you have some time, you're in the area, please join us there. All right. So now our featured speaker, our main event here. I have the pleasure of introducing Will Sutton. He is a data AI consultant at the Information Lab, but more famously known as being a Tableau visionary and our 2022 Iron Viz champion. I remember Will, he's presented several times for our Tug community here, but originally had him when he first won. And so it's so exciting to see all the new and all the great stuff he's been doing since. So Will, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, Chris. No, I appreciate all that. All right, everybody. I have got a little presentation on Tableau MCP for you. So in this presentation, I'm going to explain what Tableau MCP is. We're going to go through some demos. So that will be a chance for you in the chat if you want to go and share like some questions you've got on the chat or some prompts you want MCP to go and have a go at. That'll be a time for you to go and do that. Then lastly, we'll talk about how you can extend Tableau MCP with a tool called LangChain as well, so you can bring actually this AI chat interface into dashboards, which is really cool. And I start off by saying, like, I'm really excited about Tableau MCP because it's so accessible to everyone. Anyone on server or cloud, if you've got access to that, you can start working with Tableau MCP. You can start today. I mean, you could take the resources I've got to you. As a sort of disclaimer, also, I will be sharing all the resources that you see today at the end of this session, so do hang around for that. But you can take those resources and get started implementing this today, or even building your own like demo environment. And I feel this gives us, like analysts, this real opportunity to go and explore where AI is going and how this can work with the data that we work with day in, day out. So I'm super excited about this. And it's been part of sort of my journey. So as Chris mentioned, yes, I've been doing Tableau a long time now, 12 years in the making, but recently been very interested in understanding where AI is taking this journey going on. And so I lead the AI user group with a few colleagues, but the opportunity came up there to actually get involved in an AI project with Tableau. And so we ended up in about around this time last year, Joe Constantino, who's a project manager at Tableau, came to the user group and asked if anyone would be interested in getting involved in a little AI and Tableau projects. So built this sort of community plus Tableau developers. I've seen Christian in the chat as well. It's been really good to have Christian on board and meet him through all of this. So this has been a really fun project. It helped me learn a lot about AI and where that's going. And now it's sort of led on to Tableau MCP. So what we see is like, I think inherently we know AI is out there. We're all kind of using it as part of our day-to-day jobs. Maybe our companies have a policy around it, maybe they don't. I still find everyone I speak to is leaning into AI to help answer their questions, but there's just those limitations of where you're working, of like it can't actually go and connect all the data you have in Tableau. It can't go and perform some of those actions on your behalf. And there's limited aspects to like using that out of the box or ChatGPT interface. There's always have to go to one screen, copy what I've got over back to another one. What we want is a tool that can actually go and integrate that kind of great AI capability with all the content we've got on Tableau. And so this is where Tableau MCP comes in. And this is where you can take your AI model. So in these demos, you'll see Claude, you'll see ChatGPT, but this can work with AI models like Gemini. You can have your own locally hosted model. You can have any kind of model you want to sort of try with MCP. How this works is it then takes that model and then it's a way of connecting to all that great content that you've got on your Tableau server or cloud. So you think of all the data sources you put together, all the workbooks you've got there. MCP provides this way for an AI model to go and talk to your content on Tableau server and retrieve that content back so it can go and format that for you to go and sort of get some insights on. So in a bit more of a nutshell of how it's going. So I'm really keen just to show what it does because I'm super excited about it. Is if you are a user, you're in your chat window, you can ask it the question, ask sort of your MCP a question. So we'll go over to your AI model. The AI model will say, okay, I've got this set of tools effectively. This is what MCP is doing, is a set of tools to interact with Tableau. So which tool am I going to go and pick to answer this question? Hopefully you'll find like the query data source tool, go and run a query for you, return that response to the AI model that will then go and format that into a nice consumable format and then pass that back to the user. So it's a very nice way of like you can build this sort of chat with your data application on the data sources that you have in Tableau. So that's our brief introduction. We'll be coming back more to the slides in the future, but I wanted to dive straight into Claude. So this is Claude Desktop. This is my AI sort of client interface. Under here, I have a series of MCP tools. So here I have my Tableau tools. I've been experimenting with a few others. You might see some things like this coming out in the future, but this is effectively the tools I've given it access to. So things like being able to query the data sources, I've got to list them out. We'll see those. There's also, if you're on Tableau Cloud, you have the Pulse metrics as well. You can dive into that. For this demo, I am connecting to my company's Tableau server, so we don't have all these Pulse tools. But yeah, I can start just asking questions. So my always basic question, just making sure showing you how these tool calls work. So I'll ask it what data sources it has access to on Tableau server. What this will do is what we're going to hopefully see is a tool call coming up. Come on. Gotta love a live demo.
It's warming up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's warming up. A bit long. I like how it changes, like the waiting message. There we go.
Which LLM is this actually built on?
So this is using Claude's like Sonnet 4.5, but you can switch that out for different models.
Okay.
Yeah. So what it's done is it's given us a message, but it's going to run this tool call. So this is our list data source tool. So it's going to search on my Tableau server for the data sources I have there. So when that tool call is run, then we should get back a response of the data sources. This is being a bit slower than it usually is. Yeah. Does this work with Copilot? Yes, it does. Yes. Thank you, Christian, in the chat. So what you can see here is this is run this tool call. So I have these data sources on my Tableau server. This is the JSON text effectively that comes back from running this tool. This is then formatted by the AI into a much more human readable kind of response. So it's able to connect to my Tableau server, able to have a look at that. I can ask it basic questions like usual sort of things like, oh, let's connect to Superstore. Let's find out what sales by year are. So it's going to have a look at the data source metadata. So this is the column data type information of Superstore. So you can see here it's found the ID of the data set. It's then gone in to find those different column names and what they are. Note, I haven't given it any like special descriptions of the columns. I haven't done any like enrichment of that. It's generally able to look at these data sources and figure out what to do quite easily. So here, and then it's going to run a query. So this is VisQL data service running, where it's going effectively as you would build a chart in Tableau, like it's finding the order date and then picking the year and then finding sales and calling it total sales and getting the response back here, which is then doing this sort of series of outputs here. And if I wanted to check this is right, I actually have a little chart in my Tableau server of where I can go and check those values off. And yeah, this is pulling back the right correct answers for me here. So I have a question here on whether a LangChain requires enterprise license. No. So this does not require any higher tier of license to go and implement. Now, we've seen just quite simple questions. This is sort of very like basic kind of questions. One of the things I do like about Tableau MCP is you can ask it quite an open-ended question. Like as we've seen with like AI, you can make quite a large prompt. So in this case, I'm giving it like almost a persona. I'm a manager in the East region. How can I go and improve performance? A few factors here. Notice I'm not actually giving it like a definition of what performance is. I'm letting it go and query the data sets and work out what metrics it should be identifying. So you can see here, it's running that query data source tool several times to understand what's going on in the data to try and come back with a piece of analysis based for this, answer this question. There's quite a few queries going on here. I will also, if anyone has a question that they would want answered on Superstore, please go and put that in the chat. I have a few more I can go and show you, but as well. Okay, so if anyone has been with Superstore, seen the tables in the East, this has been found. Stop selling tables due to heavy discounting. Yeah, problem major issues to address. Reduce your discounting. Yes. Double down on your winners. Lessons from other regions.
Seems accurate. Yeah.
Stop selling books, tables. This. So I always like with Claude as well. It kind of gives you like an action plan. I'm not so sure how realistic this is in terms of like if you were to implement this in your own company. Do any basket analysis? So yeah, Celia, if you have what type of basket analysis would you want? Should I just ask for like an overview? Okay, let's have a look at this question. What else was bought deeply with things discounted? So here we go. So we can see it started with looking at product subcategories by discount, sales, and profit as well, filtering by the East region again still. So here's your market basket analysis.
That's great. I love it.
Obviously, if you weren't happy with the attitude it's giving you back, there's always some like personalization you can add to this. Wow, this is getting quite severe. I've never seen it be this aggressive.
He's telling us to get out of the paper business too. I like it.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
Yeah. Yep. So this is some of the questions you can ask if you're chatting with a data source. Obviously, if you have any more, do put them in the chat. I have other use cases because there are other tools with this because you can look at data sources. You can also look at workbooks as well. So I can say, oh, what dashboards do you see on our Tableau? So I know there's one, at least there's one on here. So it can actually go and find those workbooks and start analyzing those as
Is Claude sort of your go-to?
Well, Claude made the MCP kind of framework technology, so they're kind of my go-to for using MCP client. It makes for a very nice interface as well, this kind of application, but these tools can be used with any type sort of modern AI model at the moment. It's okay. So now it's similar to like list data sources. Now it's going to run and list those different workbooks. I know there's only one. Is there any way to spot if there's a salesperson who's giving unfair discounts to a specific client? We can ask that. We can ask this when this is getting there. Going so quick earlier, going so fast earlier. Now it's sort of like, nope, pump the brakes a bit. Do you have to connect it to your server? Yes, yes, you do. I have in the resources I have a full video guide of how to do that. Okay, so found a workbook. It's going to run that get workbook. So a very good question. When I get at Darslot, can it create visualizations? No, it can't at the moment. It feels really strange. And I've spoken with like the team involved that like a Tableau tool doesn't create vizzes. So it is on the cards. So if you saw at Tableau conference, the sort of data, was it the devs on stage, the lab section where they had the authoring API where you could just programmatically create visualizations, which was really cool. They're looking to implement something like that for Tableau MCP so it could go and create sort of simple visualizations. That's the plan. Okay, so what it's done is gone and found my workbook. It's got my workbook and it's got my image of my workbook, which is one you saw earlier. So over here. So one of the things you can do with this is I've had some use cases where it's being people asking, say, oh, the data source is updated, but the numbers in the dashboard are not showing correctly. So this is one way you can go and sort of get that image back. And you can see that Claude can go and read that image as well and provide some quantification of those numbers there. But one of the things I remember back from my time of like working with teams and Tableau servers and like they're running that is the actual style of your Tableau dashboards. So I can actually go and say, how does this visualizing compare to our style guide? I've gone and just put together like a 10 bullet point style guide. And I'm just going to go and give it that and let it see what it says in terms of my dashboard image. So it can sort of basically read the image and then just check where my style matching to a style guide or not. So if you've ever been like a Tableau like admin or someone trying to run some enablement work, you've put together this brand guidelines and you can actually go and see how many people are actually using them or not. And this can help flag up some of the cases where some people should be using this. The nice thing with this is it also can give you those actionable places of where you can go and what changes you would need to make in terms of the priority, in terms of redesigning the dashboard itself. Quite a lot back coming back there as well. Okay, so that's the workbook tool. I also wanted to sort of step away from Superstore for a little bit to sort of showcase a different functionality of one of sort of the opportunities I see with working with LLMs and Tableau. So I've put together a data set about different stocks. So I used to be a stockbroker many years ago. So one thing I remember from those times was you would have your different stocks and then different companies in the industry would publish their own like assessments of what the stock was, whether it's a good stock or bad stock, whether people should be buying or holding or selling it. So I've got this data here. I want to find out what the best performing stocks are. So it's gone, as before, found that data set, gone and found this metadata here, and it's going to query it. Now, this is interesting. Now, this normally you think this is an error, this is not good. How Tableau MCP handles errors is that it would take the error and then rerun the tool with the error message saying, this is the error we made, can you please fix this? So it's similar to if you were to type in a calculated field in Tableau desktop and you get like that syntax error. Okay, you just go back and you just, oh, I need to do an aggregation here. Got 2 errors. This is interesting. So it's seen as making these errors and it's going to make a simple approach to actually get the data coming back. So Ray, we're coming on to that in a second. So this at the moment is just using the Claude sort of model. You can use different models in this application, but you can make your own custom application that will use any model as well, which I'll show you in a sec. Wow, this is really struggling with this one. Well, you see, it's not giving up easy. Okay.
No.
Oh, come on. It's just 2025 data. Just do it.
Yeah,
This is one of those times. Yeah. Okay. Give it 2 more minutes, like a minute or two, otherwise we'll move on. But I can answer some of these questions in the chat.
Yeah.
So I think Ray mentioned Tableau agent there. So Tableau agent lives in the Tableau application and will build you charts based on the data set you've got access to in the moment. That is coming to Tableau Server in the future. So this is not, I really don't see this as an instead of, this is very much sort of a complementary, as this can provide that sort of like chat with a data sort of type of application here. So we got there in the end. So we got there. We found our top performing stocks from this. A lot of actual data coming back from this as well in terms of our stocks. So hopefully in here we've got, so in the metadata, just want to show you we'll get it to run a query. So one of the things I've added is I've actually made up some buy sell recommendations in the actual data set. So a free text column in Tableau. Normally you would never be able to visualize this unless you had a lot of work looking into like the actual sort of text mining application to it. So it's able to read the data that I've got there in the free text field and then determine actually do that free bullet point summary. So if you have been working with Tableau, it's very much you have to have a table of data and that's it. Whereas with this, you could actually bring in that more unstructured data, that free text data you could actually bring in to help sort of back up your analysis, because it's not always, doesn't always fit into a table, if you like. I've seen this before, is like you could have your sort of medical research reports, you could have your sort of university reviews, these kind of like large text fields that have value in them but are difficult to work into Tableau. You could have in this kind of format, you pass them to an LLM to then format in the way you want it to as well. Okay. Took a while with that one, but you can see we've got a lot coming back, and you can see like the work it puts in to get the queries right and to get the analysis out. I want to jump back to the slides. So this is where we were in a nutshell with Tableau MCP. So you could see that I was entering those questions. It was going over some Claude, finding the tools to use, returning the response, and then coming back to me. What I want to say is that it's how you can bring this a bit further with your own applications with something called LangChain. And these terms, I put this definition in here just so we can determine, because we had a project called Tableau LangChain at one point, and then we've got Tableau MCP. And now it's like, okay, is it one versus the other? Like, is MCP better? It's like, well, we're not like saying MCP, we're using the two together. So LangChain is like our framework for working with an AI model. It can help really orchestrate the pieces together quite nicely. MCP just becomes the tools that our AI model uses. So LangChain helps us build out this architecture nicely. And this is kind of how it looks like. So again, you'd have that Tableau server, cloud environment with your data sources that you trust, the workbooks that you want. You would then be able to orchestrate a framework with LangChain that would let you pick the model that you want to use. So I had some questions about how can I use different models? So you can hook this up with ChatGPT. That's what I've got coming up next. Claude, yes, Olama, so your own local hosted model. Dive into that MCP tools you've got there. So you saw those with the Tableau tools. You can build your own tools if you wanted to with Tableau with LangChain. You can also bring in other tools as well. So we had a question about different charts applications. So because Tableau MCP doesn't have a charting functionality, that you could find another tool to actually go and write the charts for you. So you can actually bring quite a custom application together. The nice thing is you can wrap all this together in a little website UI, so a little chat interface, and you can bring that kind of interface into, say, a Tableau dashboard extension as well. And the nice thing about this is all on your own security constraints. That's the beauty of the flexibility of this. So if you have, say, an on-prem server, or you have a chosen like large language model, like a lot of people have Microsoft Copilot, that will work with that and sort of flex to what security constraints you have. So let's dive into the last demo. So I have set up a web page sort of application. So this is using LangChain. So this is basically connected to an AI model and also connected to my Tableau server via Tableau MCP. I can then host this chat in dashboard extension. So I've got my dashboard superstore again. I can open up and here's my chat interface. Now, the use case for this is I have these great charts. I can see the visualizations here. I can explore the data in Tableau. Great. But as a chart creator, I can't always put all the charts on the page. You know, there's a limited space here I can work with. I can do the show and hide sort of sheet collections. What I can use this chat application to is to find the data or get my users to ask questions on that's in the data set. So I can ask it who are my top customers. So I didn't have room to put customers in on the page, but I can get this application to go and call Tableau MCP. So similar to doing the tool calls that we did before, and then get it to return the data here. So in theory, this could have been an ad hoc question that someone would go and send me a message, say, hey, can you go and get me this data? Now they can just go and self-serve themselves in the dashboard by just asking the AI chatbot. Now, you also might be asking, well, what access does this have? Like, couldn't this just ask any question? How much sort of access does it have? So the beauty of this is that you can customize this tool to be specific. So I've customized it to just be on this data source. So I can ask it things I shouldn't do, like you can ask it things like how much does my boss earn? Now, I've only given it access to Superstore. So you get this response coming back saying, well, in accordance to Superstore, there's no information about employee management or earnings, including your boss's salary. So it's not going to answer the question. If you have any questions about this, that's what I can help you with. So you've done the sort of guard railing of preventing this AI model from just leaking anything else because I've locked it into this data source. Similarly, I can ask it like something simple, like what is the capital of France? And it'll come back and it'll say the same thing. It'll say like, I don't know what the capital of France is. So normally ChatGPT would be able to tell you that, no problem. So this is sort of one way where you can build this sort of application with sort of trust in that it's only going to answer the questions based on the data it has access to, which is really nice. Now, one extra thing, it gets a little nerdy here, but one nice thing is that you can actually then go and get the logs of what people are asking in that chat application. So you can go and give this a refresh. This is a tool called LangFuse. Effectively, it's capturing the logs of what's happening in that AI chatbot. Come on. So you can see here, I've got this, who are my top customers? You can see that it's gone and that's where it's going to run the prompt. Actually, let's go here. So this will give you this like little overview of how it's working. So you can see where it starts. The model it's using, the tools it's used. So I can see it's using this tool, the fields it's passing in, and I can actually see the data it gets back as well in here that gets passed back to the agent as well. Okay. So this is like a customized way, but it's very useful if you were to say deploy this in your organization to actually understand what your users are asking for. So you've built this dashboard with this vision in mind, and people actually asking it for totally different data. You may then take this information and think, well, actually, I could build another dashboard to go and service this need, and actually see who's asking these questions. Actually, there's a real need for actually have a customer dashboard here or something as well. So it actually gets to help you develop a better Tableau environment too. Okay, this has been my sort of whistle-stop tour of how you can bring Tableau MCP everywhere. What I'm going to do is we can have a sort of chat afterwards, but I want to also share that which is what I want to close out with, is that all the content that I've shared to you today, you can actually go and have a go with yourself. I'm going to put a link to it in the chat, but effectively you can. This is a link to this blog post here, so this will enable you to actually have a lot of understanding of what Tableau MCP is all about. I give a lot of advice in this blog post, but I also give basically the entire demos that I've been sharing with you today. So you could go and start running this on your own Tableau MCP or your own Tableau environment. With this is what I've called the Tableau MCP starter kit. So let me close out this for a sec. So this is the blog post, but at the bottom you'll find I have the starter kit. So this on GitHub, what it comes with is all the code and setup instructions of how to get this enabled. This can take about an afternoon or so, but it also comes with like videos of me just setting everything up. So going, finding all the access tokens you need. I go through all that sort of steps sort of manually, bit by bit, so anyone can get involved with this. So you can see Claude, you can do VS Code as well, Tableau MCP, the starter kit, so the dashboard extension, all that code is there for you to go and use. And I hope you have a great time having a go with that. Obviously, I'm also available on LinkedIn if you have any questions on this. I've been sort of helping quite a few people in the community out, sort of understand this, get this working in their own environments. But that's what I've got for you today. If you have any questions for me, obviously put them in the chat. If you have any more you want to see at Tableau MCP have a go at, do put those in the chat as well. We can have a look at those too.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Will. That was fantastic. I mean, very interesting presentation, and just thank you for presenting today, walking us through all the details, and really just sharing everything you've learned about MCP. Does anybody have any questions for Will? I know you guys were very interactive during the demos. Any last questions for Will?
See one here about on Tableau Einstein. How is it compared to those? So I haven't played around with Tableau Einstein before, but effectively, I don't know how this Tableau Einstein works, I'll be honest. But for this is something that you can just set up and start with whatever AI model you've got. You don't have to route this through Tableau or anything like that. Are you aware of getting this working with Google Gemini? Yes, we have Google Gemini in my office, so we do use Google Gemini for this, so it does work with that. I will say with your AI model is just to make sure you're picking like a reasonably large modern model that has like a large context window, because what this is doing is when it's fetching data back from Tableau, that can be quite a large response at times. And so if you don't have it can't take that context window, can't take that much characters, then it starts running into issues, running into errors. So Jim, it needs to be a published data source on your Tableau server. That is the only requirement. Doesn't matter what type of file, whatever it is. Yeah, yes, Christian's got my back in the chat. So.
Yeah. What about you mentioned some things like visualizations coming soon. Anything on the roadmap or maybe wish list that you've heard about?
Yep. So the roadmap is the one big one that's coming with the 25.3 release is OAuth authentication to the Tableau server. So this is a big thing, so that basically anyone using Tableau MCP will log in as themselves. That then helps with things like row level security and that type of. That's a big one for organizations. There's also, as I mentioned, the charting capabilities coming out, and there's more tools. The more tools coming. Like it seems to be developed all every week. So
All right. Let's see.
uh,
Cameron had something there.
yeah, I had a few. I had one from Blake. So I see this one on train the model. So in the application I showed you, I can show you the code. The code is running here. So this is the code. You get this in the GitHub repo. In terms of what it's using is you have the system prompt. So this is where I will give it instructions on it. It's not like a massive document. This is largely based on like just simple sort of how I want the responses, how I want it to use the data source. So that's the main thing here. So it's not too much like nothing in terms of training the model. In terms of the model I'm using is just, you can see here GPT 4.1. And this is it. So this is where I set up my MCP tools. This is where I set my LLM. And this is where I define my agent. And this is just the basic agent using LangChain. And it works quite nicely.
We're gonna have to adjust that tone right there that you had. It was a little.
Yeah, well, the Claude tone, that was, maybe you like that.
Okay.
With custom AI models, yes, that would be doable. So, for example, on here, instead of having, say, chat OpenAI, you would have, say, chats Olama or something, and then you would reference your model or something here. There will be a function in there to bring in sort of a custom model there too. The simple visualizations, that is definitely one they get asked about so much, and that is coming. I've tried a few, but it kind of gets back in like a few custom MCPs, sort of chart builders, but it gets back into the world of an AI trying to make data viz and truncated axis, no title, no data labels, no things like that. So I'm hoping there's more done in this space. Cool. No, appreciate all the thanks and support in the chat. So how much of this is customized versus what is provided by directly from Tableau? So what is customized is, so in Claude's, what you saw was me just connecting to published data sources that have not had a hell of a lot of work done to them. So when I go list data sources, the only things here, so this is like, so for example, this is our time data set. So we've given it certain instructions here. So to when the boss goes and understands how our consultants are being used, so it understands which fields to pick. So this can be a helpful way to improve bigger data sources with more fields to choose from. But for the things I was doing with Superstore and stock, like the mutual fund portfolio data I showed you, no description at all. No description, no help, no column level descriptions, no nothing. So that might have, I maybe, if I added some descriptions in there, that might have helped with some of those errors, but very little effort in terms of customizing this to get it to work. In terms of the LangChain, it's basically that system prompt and any of the sort of data source information that you saw there earlier. How much maintenance you anticipate as Tableau updates the MCP offering? So I think there's not been a hell of a lot of when I've needed to update. There's only a few things that have changed, and that's the main update. The main things I need to do is when I say I've customized a tool, something. So we had one update where they made the tools better. So before, when it was coming to getting metadata, we had two different tools for getting metadata that have been merged down into one. That was like the only sort of big change. The other changes we had is just more tools being added, which has been very helpful.
All right. Well, I think that's our last question there, Will. But
cool.
Let's give Will a round of applause. Thank you, Will, again for sharing the information. Please check out Will on his YouTube too, and if you have any questions, reach out to him on LinkedIn. Will, we hope to have you back again soon too.
No, I hope to be back again. Who knows what I'll be up to next time? But
right. We'll wait.
Yes. On that last question, does it work in air-gapped environments? Yes, it does. Yes, and no, Christian, we're definitely working on that export to Excel because I know that will happen.
There we go. There we go. That's a good one. Thanks, Will. Enjoy the holidays too.
Great.
All right.
Yeah, great. You too. Great to be here. Thanks. Bye.
All right, guys. Well, that was fantastic. Yeah, you guys definitely go check out Will on his YouTube. He's got a lot of fantastic stuff there. Now, for those that are have a little bit more time, we're going to do our networking breakout session. It's Ask Anyone Anything. So all you have to do is just hang out on the call. Those that want to that need to drop, that's fine. We hope to see you guys. We have our in-person event December 4th at Austin Beer Works. So we hope to see some of you guys there. Those that can't make it or are remote, we will see you at the new year in January at our next Tug event.